Well, talk to me when you have some hard evidence, Mr. Spencer. Fans of the long-running comedy crime show Psych will recognize the line from Chief Vick. While willing to give the fake psychic some freedom, she insisted on more proof than his alleged psychic visions to pursue a suspect and make an arrest. When it comes to belief in God and the hope of a resurrection, what kind of evidence should we require to pursue eternity? Some demand hard evidence in the form of scientific proof. For them, God isn't real if he can't be subjected to material tests, placed in a test tube, seen through a microscope, or picked up with rubber gloves and shoved in an evidence bag, all to be brought out in trial. Others insist on having their own form of psychic visions, wherein God reveals himself to them in some mysterious way. Of course, they don't have any proof beyond their own subjective feelings. Today's Sunday Struggles edition of Morning Minutes in the Bible on An American Missionary wrestles with the problem of evidence for the existence of God and our hope for eternity. Yesterday we looked at Psalm 17 and David's trust in the hope of resurrection. In verse 15, he declared his confident expectation to see God's face after death, when I awake. Implicit in that statement is a simple fact. He had not seen God's face, but still believed. He had hard evidence in the nature of the world around him and in God's providential care and protection during his dark days running from Saul and in the history of God's work through the patriarchs and prophets. But he had never personally seen God. Despite that, David had more than enough evidence and believed. The key question for you and me is this: where are we on this spectrum? Are we on the hard evidence side that relies on the experts and trusts the constantly changing and evolving science? Are we materialists who will only believe in what our five senses experience? If so, we are living by the flesh. However, those who insist on experience God in some tangible way, to see him through some kind of internal vision, are no less invested in living by the flesh. When we insist on feeling something unique and subject to one's own interpretation, the hearing of faith, Galatians 3 verses 2 and 5, isn't enough. Part of living by faith, like David described in Psalm 17, and as was taught by Paul in Galatians, is trusting the evidence God has given us, the world around us, and his word, and not demanding to see his face first. Will you and I have enough faith to believe before we see his face? Thank you for watching this Sunday Struggles edition of Morning Minutes in the Bible on An American Missionary. Until next time, this is James McClenny hoping you have a great day.